Welcome. Welcome. I welcome you with all my heart, all my spirit, all my love. Today, I just want to talk about Shakti. Everything I know about Shakti. But first, a little background. Anytime you hear spiritual teachings, whether it's from Robert Adams or Ramana, or Swami Shankarananda or Chaitananda, or David Spiro, or Jan Essman, you're hearing it through spoken words and concepts. Just concepts. When Robert talks about and says, you are Brahman, you are not your body, you are not your world. The world does not exist. Your body does not exist, it's illusion. It's a mirage. These are concepts. He's not talking about his direct experience, because his direct experience is exactly like your direct experience. There's no difference. He sees the world the same way you see the world. He sees another person the same way you see another person. But he's talking about a spiritual world, an inner world. And it's a world of his understanding. And he says it for a purpose. The purpose is to make you feel peace. It's all about taking you out of the mundane world, taking you to his spiritual world and giving you peace. But it's not truth. Truth is what you see right before you at all moments, what you feel within you at all moments, non-verbally, without words, without concepts. So, if you read Jan Essman, you'll hear about Shakti from one point of view, what your body is from one point of view, what the bliss is from one point of view. If you read it from the point of view of quantum touch, they have a very different orientation. Shakti is to be felt and to be used for healing. If David Spiro has yet a different point of view, his point of view is that he's going to bullshit you with terms that make you feel poetic for a moment, but the real work is going on in the background in Shakti. The Shakti he brings to satsang. The Shakti you feel in satsang. David and I are alike because, like him, I speak to you in terms of bullshit. Doesn't matter. Shakti is in the background, right now, touching you, making you feel something. Whether you should be here or not here, feeling something towards me, whether you hate me or you love me, or whether you think I might have something worthwhile listening to. Once Shakti grabs you, you no longer have free will. You become a prisoner of Shakti. What is Shakti? You know, I really don't know. I can only tell you about my experience of Shakti. Right now, I feel Shakti as energies within me, as bliss, electrifying my body with bliss. And electrifying is the wrong word because Shakti does not feel like electricity. The inside of my body is vibrating at a very high pitch. It's all through my body, my chest, my gut, my pelvis, my hands, my arms, my face. And it feels delightful. It feels like I'm being licked by an angel all over. I feel such delight all over. I feel loved all over, and I love all of you. The licking of Shakti opens my heart to you, and gives my love to you. And Shakti carries my love to you, or maybe you don't feel it, but I feel it. But what is Shakti? There are so many books about Shakti. It has so many different titles. It can be called Chi by the Chinese, prana by the Hindus and yogins, Shakti by the several different branches, the life force in quantum touch and by Nisargadatta. But even that life force has many, many different faces. The one face of the life force is creating life out of non-life, bringing forth life in the world in terms of little babies, eggs that hatch, all the life forms we know, bugs, humans, cats, dogs, lions, tigers, people. And each kind of life form has a different sort of consciousness. And humans can become self-conscious way more than most other animals. I'm not saying they don't become self-conscious because I don't know. I think they are. But people can talk about their consciousness and their experience of their consciousness and speak about it to other people who can then look within themselves and find it, maybe. I am using words to convey to you feelings. So it won't always compute because you may not have the feelings that I have. But just listen to the energy of my words and feel what it feels inside of you. What does it do inside of you? About 12 years ago, a woman wrote me that she was in love with me in 2006. I didn't know who she was. I had seen her come to our online satsang at that time, but she was very quiet, never said anything. Her name was Dia. It still is Dia. Dia loved me, and she loved Robert because I was the conveyance to Robert. And Dia came to Los Angeles to visit me maybe 5 years later. And she came to me with a message from Robert, or so she said. But Dia had this extraordinary relationship with Shakti. She felt Shakti all the time. It ran through her body all the time. And within the Shakti, she felt the astral realms. She felt demons and entities. And she felt all different worlds and things coming and going from this world into other worlds. Much of it could be called magic. A lot of people would call it schizophrenia, but it wasn't. It was different. She had a hold on Shakti like no one I've ever known. But let me put a background here. And I started meditating in the late 1960s. I had left a job of doing population projections in Cleveland, Ohio, for the 87 municipalities in Cuyahoga County. It was a mid-level analyst job after getting a master's degree from Case Western Reserve University in management. I hated the job. I hated school. I thought school was bullshit. The stuff they talked about was bullshit. Economics was bullshit. physics was bullshit. It was all bullshit. And I lived in a bullshit world where people seemed to move to a different drummer than I was moving to. All that they were interested in was making money, having a good career, buying a house, getting a car, having sex, having a girlfriend or a boyfriend, listening to popular tunes. It was not the world I lived in. The world I lived in made no sense to me. It was stupid. People were just stupid, ignorant. And they weren't sensitive at all to emotions, to feelings, to anything. And I yearned to know a different world, a world where I belonged. It took many years until I ran into Robert, who showed me first emptiness. And when I first started meditating in the 60s, I experienced Kundalini, moving up my spine very slowly and painfully through my heart area, then into my head, through the crown, and then back down again, my face, and then back into my heart. And this went on for 6 or 7 months, very painfully, having all kinds of Kundalini phenomena. Kundalini is one form of Shakti, one experience of Shakti according to the Kundalini formula. But Shakti has many different forms, many different expressions. Then in 2010, I believe it was, or it might be earlier, I met Janet and fell in love with Janet. Janet was in love with me from our satsang. I fell in love with her when she came and I saw her. We felt such deep love for each other, and Shakti was happening all over. In our bodies, we felt bliss. She felt constant orgasms at a distance without touching herself. I didn't feel orgasms, but I felt bliss all the time. I felt ecstatic all the time. I felt energies moving inside of me, circulating around my heart. They had colors, green and orange. And sometimes they moved up my insides from my genitals up into my heart and into my head as white light or other kinds of light. And I could see the energy movement. I could feel energy moving out from my hands and going to her, and hers coming to me. We became telepathic. We had all kinds of phenomena happening, including very intense love and surrender. And in that intense love and surrender, we both felt God. We both felt as if we were bowing to the feet of God as this enormous image sitting on a throne, and we were there at his feet, bowing, prostrating, feeling empty, feeling nothing, just wanted to be crushed by God, to get rid of the personhood in us and just to become one with him, to have him crush us with his feet. We both felt that kind of Shakti, and I've felt it ever since. But she was married. We broke up many times. We never had sex. All of it was just Shakti, talking to each other, feeling each other's presence. We felt orgasms, or we felt bliss. And it was Shakti. And then something happened just last year. Dia came to stay here. And I felt Shakti like I had never felt it before. It was so utterly powerful. The samadhi it put me in was so powerful, and it lasted for days. I was stunned by it. And when she left, I was in such pain. But ever since then, Shakti has manifested differently. It has actively reached out into the world and brought people to our satsang. People like Mark. People like Vesselina and Angela and Padma and Vijay. Vijay knew Dia, talked to Dia, spoke to Dia. And many have left since that time too. The Shakti is funny. It has so many different forms and expressions. One form is that I am alive, the sense of beingness we feel. Another form is it moves in the background. It's like it's always around me, and whoever I'm talking to, and even not talking to, but knows me, feels it in their own sense of presence. They feel something towards me, or they feel some sort of bliss because of the Shakti that's all over. Sindriya, I know, knows it. Shakti has another expression. That's the internal feeling of Shakti within me. The energies, the bliss, the love I feel. The love I feel towards you. The energies I feel going from my heart into your heart. From my hands into your body. From my hands into your sense of presence. That's another form of Shakti. The third form of Shakti might be what David calls the mother. He says wherever he is, mother is close by, and the same with me. Wherever I am, Shakti is close by, touching you in various ways, touching your heart, touching your face, touching your genitals, touching your gut, touching your chest, touching your hands, directing you, grabbing you, and capturing you in some ways, the way she wills, the way Shakti wills. And once Shakti gets a hold of you, you're trapped. It's like being in the tiger's mouth. There's no escape. When Dia was here, I felt captivated by Shakti, grabbed by Shakti and directed to worship her. I spent a lot of time on the floor, prostrated to her, with my hands on her feet. And sitting next to her, the energies became so extremely powerful. I felt trapped. I felt enchanted. She had my heart totally enchanted. And when she left, it was like she took her heart with me. But when it came back, my heart came back. It came back so much more powerfully, with power I had never known before. And it's that power now, that Shakti now, that's talking to you, saying Shakti has an infinite number of forms. Shakti is what makes everything move within consciousness. Consciousness is passive. It watches what Shakti does. Awareness is passive. It goes to wherever your attention goes. You can increase the feeling of Shakti in yourself by grabbing onto your sense of presence and just resting in your sense of presence. Or you can feel it as the eye sensation inside of you, inside your chest, the feeling that you're alive, the feeling that you're human, the feeling that you're awake, the feeling that you love. Grab onto that feeling and just stay there by that feeling. Hour after hour, day after day, week after week, and it grows. And with it, your sense of presence grows. Ken develops a sense of presence that extends within his body and outward into the room around him. Vijay should be feeling that a long time ago because his desire for it was so strong. Vijay, bow to Shakti. Ask for Shakti to come into you, to cleanse you, to make you alive. Feel her right now within you and around you everywhere. So, according to the scriptures, Reality is made up of two things: consciousness, which contains everything, and Shakti, which is the prime mover of all that happens in your experience. Shakti makes the mountains and destroys the mountains. Shakti makes you love or takes the love away. Shakti creates life or takes it away. Shakti is the active principle, the feminine. Consciousness is the passive process, the male, the watcher. And within all of this, we have so many different phenomena. There's the phenomena of feeling space on the outside, of seeing space on the outside. And also, after long periods of meditation, feeling the emptiness within that pervades everything we see, feel, touch, smell, taste, and everything we imagine inside. All the dreams, all the visions we have, all the thoughts are all happening in emptiness. Emptiness is the container. And within that container is our body, our sense of presence, and Shakti as manifested inside. Shakti as outside of us is what draws us to each other. We think it's us being attracted to somebody else or repelled by somebody else, but it's really Shakti that's pushing us, that's pulling us towards each other or away from each other. In that sense, there's no free will, or just the appearance of free will. Can we sit for just a few minutes and feel the amazing Shakti within the Sangha circulating around, touching each of you, exploding in each of you, if it will, if you're quiet enough, if you're silent enough, and if you're loving enough, Shakti will explode in you. Fill your heart with love, with bliss and light, like it did to me. Through two people, Janet and Dia. So it can come from any source. It can come from your neighbor. It can come from me. It can come from somebody else at this satsang. Feel within. Feel God within and God without. God within is like a white light that explodes with great intensity throughout your whole body, making you feel alive. Sit quietly for a few minutes. No. I really can't tell you what Shakti is. What I tell you is my experience of her. I'm not even sure it's a her. That's what the sutras say. Shakti is feminine. But I didn't experience Shakti as feminine when I experienced it with Janet. The energy exploded inside of me as light and power and love shot up through my gut, through my heart, into my head and space beyond, and it felt masculine to me. But who am I to argue with the scriptures? I think Shakti, as manifested in human beings and in most life forms, is both feminine and masculine. It has a feminine expression in a female body and a masculine expression in a male body, but even within me, there's a lot of feminine, and within women, there's a lot of masculine. And I don't know whether Shakti is male or female, both or neither. The way I feel Shakti is mostly as neutral. As love. As sexuality. As bliss. According to Tantra, you can sublimate the sexual impulses so that they become continuous orgasms, which gradually turn into a sense of ecstasy and love of God, and gradually get more subtle and at the same time more powerful, so that you go into samadhi of complete dissolution and identity with God. But whenever you talk about sexuality, you run up against thousands of different ideas about what it should be and its place in spirituality, or it doesn't have any place in spirituality. There's so much pushback you get. So you have to be very careful about talking about sexuality in the context of spirituality. It's so many people in the world, like 90% of them think they don't go together in any way. But if you can wake up your sexuality in you, in that root chakra, you can use that energy to send it to all the other chakras. And you don't even have to do it deliberately. It does it automatically. It begins awakening the other chakras, from the root chakra, from your pussy or from your balls, into your gut, and upwards into your heart, into your throat, into the third eye, into your crown chakra. And then it crashes through and goes to chakras above your head. And it starts reaching from your heart into your arms and outwards into your hands, where your hands become electric and hot from the energies. And soon all the chakras, all 11 or 12 or 13, depending on what system you use, are firing in unison. And that's when you become ecstatic and one-pointed. Whether it's one-pointed in love of somebody, or one-pointed in the sense of transcending even that relationship and going into samadhi and becoming love, one with God himself, the divine. And you discover the divine in you. And once you've discovered the divine in you, as I did with Janet, as almost a human form, but made out of light and energy that felt like my brother, or the divine within me, that was so powerful, was so ecstatic, that I partook in that person's, that other's intensity of Shakti and of love and of energies, but at the same time it was separate from me. It was the other, it was the divine within, with whom I'm always in communion. And that Shakti, that same Shakti that I feel within, is also manifesting in the world around me, and it's in each one of you. She or he is in each one of you. The point is, too, this is very important. You've heard over and over again people say, the ones who don't want to do spiritual exercise, that you are already enlightened, that you are already the self. But you may ask yourself, I don't know what the self is. And Robert says, you're Brahman. But I never knew what Brahman was. It was just a word to me. And when I was in City Yoga, they said, love yourself, honor yourself, worship yourself. But I didn't know what myself was. Not until Janet awakened the Shakti within me. And I had that rush of energy come out as God in this light that had multiple forms, that kept changing its forms, with whom I felt the deepest kinship, until one day I discovered Shakti was me. I was that Shakti. And yet at the same time, I preferred to feel Shakti as separate from me, to worship it, to love Shakti. And I feel Shakti more and more the more I love you people out there. The more I love Vijay, or Vesselina, or Angela, or Michael, or Padma, or Sebastian, or Enrique, or Max, or Mark, or Michael. 2 Michaels here, or Imra, Jean, Steve, Sindria. And the more you love me, the more you will feel that same Shakti. And the interplay between my heart and your heart. Can you feel the Shakti arising in you now, listening to my voice? Can you feel it around you now, touching your heart, your back, your shoulders, top of your head? Can you feel it brushing your face, touching your lips, touching your eyes? Can you feel it inside your heart? Can you feel me inside your heart? It's Shakti in me that is talking to Shakti in you and trying to give you an experience of Shakti for the first time if you haven't experienced it before. Because the truth is, you are already enlightened. But for most people, they're not aware of the various aspects because they're all part of your everyday experience. It's like the background of your everyday experience. And you're used to seeing different things. You're used to seeing the conventional world that people teach you about, with walls, rent to pay, landlords, jobs, houses, relationships, babies, sex, eating. But there's a different world that you can break out of once Shakti takes a hold of you and shatters that old conventional world and releases you to a new world. A world that is not mundane, a world that is not commonplace, but is filled with bliss and wonder and changing, always changing, changing, changing. Where love comes into your life like never before. Where people love you like never before. Where you walk down the street and people turn to look at you, where before they ignored you completely. But once you awaken in Shakti, nobody ignores you anymore. They either hate you or they love you. And that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to fuck you up by lighting the Shakti in you so that every day is more and more difficult for you. No day passes where you can continue to live in your conventional world, where you see that the world around you is stupid, it's ugly, it's blind, and people are marching to something you don't know, you don't understand where the hell they're going, what they're doing. They're so loud and pretentious, such foolishness about trivia, that they don't feel the God within them. They don't feel the love within them. They don't feel the energies within them. My energy is talking to you, Angela, right now. I feel you in my heart. You too, Maria. You too, Veselina. You too, VJ. You too, Mark. Mark, do you feel it? Padma, do you feel it? Enrique, do you feel it? Max, do you feel it? What was your name, Boreen? Do you feel it? Bareen. Sindria. Michael. This is a whole different world I'm trying to take you to. It's a world of wonder, filled with what Mark calls blissons. The couch, the chair, is made up of blissons. It's made up of Shakti that temporarily takes the form because of concepts and words and convention. But the real world is constantly changing energies. And if you're quiet enough, relaxed enough, you open your eyes, even the world that you see that's supposedly stable is really not that stable. If you stare in one place for very long, things begin to disappear. You have to move a little for them to reappear. You have to have a constant sense of change for this reality to stay real. Otherwise, it disappears through non-movement. Stare at something, a point, long enough, and that point will disappear. And if you're in utter stillness long enough, everything disappears. And you're in total space. And even that goes into nothingness. And then you're in deep samadhi. And then you even go beyond samadhi to the witness. Then even you go beyond the witness into nothingness. And all of it's there right now in you. But you have to tease out these various feelings, these various entities, and these various kinds of consciousness. Shakti is here, once you're aware of Shakti, to show you the different levels of consciousness within you. The subtle body, and all the different workings of the subtle body, the energies in the subtle body. The causal body of forgetfulness, of non-existence. Turiya, the bliss body of beingness, which is just the sense of being without any objects in it. And you do this by directing your awareness, because Shakti follows awareness. So if you go in and feel your subtle body, the energies within that I was talking about, the energies that circulate within, with lights and with currents, gradually they become more and more real. And when you quiet down and you have that open vision of your body, then you can begin to see emptiness, space inside, the void, the great void, which swallows everything. This is what Buddhism is all about, is the void and how it swallows all experience, all objects, and even Shakti. Then you can see how Shakti fills the emptiness and creates objects within that emptiness. And then the Buddhists say, form is emptiness, emptiness is form. Feeling, thought, and consciousness are also like this. Shakti creates a reality, a world within the emptiness, within space, the void. All these things are discovered by you and made real as part of your experience. Then when you talk, nobody will understand you unless you use common spiritual concepts like I'm using now to partially convey what it actually feels like. But the feeling is very different from the expression that's coming out of my mouth. The expression that's coming out of my mouth is only to tell Shakti to do something to you, to give you an inkling of what I'm talking about, so you can feel it inside of yourself. I could be saying, shit, 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 piss, 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 gobbledygook, gobbledygook, gobbledygook. It doesn't matter. Shakti will still do her work or his work. But I'm talking in a kind of poetic way, a sing-song way, a melodic way, to make it a little easier for you to accept, to make it sound like I'm saying something really smart when I'm not. It's all Shakti, and what Shakti will do to you, inside of you. My Shakti speaking to your Shakti in this way. Get Shakti moving. Angela, do you feel it? Spencer, do you feel it? Maria, do you feel it? Ken, do you feel it? VJ, can you feel it yet? How do you feel it? You don't have to. Okay.
As strong vibration.
Where?
Throughout the body. From
Right. Fantastic.
To face and the hands, legs. It's more like electricity.
But electricity stings, as you know. Shakti doesn't. Barine, do you feel it?
Yeah.
Barine, do you feel it?
Yeah, there's a sharpness to it for me. It's like right on the edge of bliss and pain.
Where do you feel it?
Really strongly in my heart and like kind of behind my collarbones, throughout too, but strongest there.
Good. Enrique. How do you feel it? Vasilina, how do you feel it?
I'm not sure. It's in my belly right now. It was in my heart, but now it's in my head. I don't know. Changes.
When you know it fully, you'll feel it extending from below you in the ground to on top of your head, over your head. You'll feel it like a current coming up through your body, into your pussy or your balls, into your womb or your lower belly, the hara, then into your heart, then into your throat, the third eye very strongly, and then the top of your head, and then it explodes out of the top of your head to chakras above your head. Actually, there are chakras throughout your body, but there are major ones depending on the system you use. And whatever system you use, you should sort of stick with it. I want to tell you something. You know, I don't give exercises to do because I didn't get Shakti and the feelings of Shakti by doing meditation or doing exercises or doing visualizations or doing pranayama breathing exercises. I got it because I loved Janet and Janet loved me. We felt it in our hearts and everything opened in both of us. Sexually, love-wise, physically, we became immersed. We were even telepathic with each other. We completely surrendered to each other. So I can't talk about exercises, but I can tell you that there are books you can read, the ones that I've found extremely helpful, that do give you some exercises or give you a theoretical background to better understand it, because unless you feel Shakti strongly, you'll want to know what it's all about. And these give you something to hold on to. These give you ways to practice exercise, to build your feeling of Shakti and to use it for healing or other things, like to awaken your other chakras, to get them all aligned. And there are 2 books I recommend. Quantum Touch, The Power to Heal by Richard Gordon. I saw it on Amazon for about $2.98, $2.88 plus shipping. So it's about $7. It's very cheap. You can get it on Amazon. And this will teach you with a lot of good diagrams about how to do healing. And you can start doing it almost immediately. Maria has been doing it successfully on her family. You haven't killed anybody yet, have you? Okay. The other book is by Jan Esman, Esmann, Jan, Jan. It's called Kundalini Tantra. And in it, he'll give you both the theory of Shakti, Ma Shakti, and compare it with Advaita, which is Robert's point of view and Ramana's. And he'll give you a lot of exercises to awaken Shakti or Kundalini within you, to make you feel. And they're great exercises. And this book does the same thing. It's a different system, a different point of view, and this is using Shakti, learning how to perceive Shakti and to use it, while Jan is more about using the Shakti to recognize that Shakti is everything. Those 2 books I highly recommend. This can take you a day to read if you read fast. It can take you 2 or 3 days if you practice the exercises in it. It's very well written, very easy, and $3, how can you miss? $7 with shipping. Jan's book you can buy the same way. It's not that cheap in comparison, but you can get it on Kindle for about $9. And that takes you a lot longer because his writing is more dense. But it's helpful in terms of the theory, because all of you have thoughts. Until you know Shakti really well as your partner, as your lover, you have thoughts. You want to understand. Vesselina wants to always understand. I don't understand. I don't understand. I don't understand. Max is that same way. The scientific mind's got to understand how to put everything in order. Angela, though, is used to chaos by now and not realizes it's not an understanding, but she keeps doing it anyway. I don't know about the rest of you. But understanding is not where it's at, but everybody keeps trying to understand anyway. I understand nothing. I just blab a lot, and it sounds like I understand. And Kundalini or Shakti makes you think I understand, but I don't know nothing. I'm a lover, not an understander. Are there any questions?
Hello, Ed. As usual, I'm first. I don't mean to hog the spotlight. I just want to give you a very quick update. I'm going to give you more detailed information in an email one day. But basically, the Shakti is like a constant companion in my day-to-day life. It's obvious. Right now, it's obvious. It's like a circulating energy field suffusing around my body and within my body, particularly from my feet and ankles, my wrists and my face, although it can circulate. Kind of missing the middle part though. It has one thing that I notice about it is it's a field that is always there. I may not be perceiving it, but if I relax and tune into it, it's always there, and it starts off subtly.
Yes.
And then as I abide in it, it usually becomes more and more clear and more solid and more substantial. And although the very dense bliss that I used to talk about is somewhat thinner now, it's more rarefied and subtle. But even though it's subtle, there is a vividness and a bliss in that subtlety. It's paradoxical, I know. So it's subtle, but at the same time, there's a bliss and an end to all questing and abiding in it. So like it's still the same flavor, is just not as dense and obvious as it used to be.
Yes.
And the colors I'm noticing more, right? I started off today during our satsang, kind of emerald green, and then like a complementary orange came into play, kind of like the colors of popsicles. And then sort of like a pinkish red. So I could feel the energy of colors too, which this is something of recent, but so that's just where I'm at. I just wanted to.
Wonderful. Great.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Ed, the book you talked about, Quantum Touch, is available free as a PDF file over the web.
Uh,
I can share.
I'm sure you can get it as a Kindle file. I don't think it's available as a PDF file anywhere.
I have it right now with me.
Oh,
I can share if you want. I don't know how to share here.
maybe people can contact you and you can send it to them. That's cheaper.
Sure. Yes. Yes. Yeah.
How do we find you? How do we contact you?
The email. I have. I'll send the chat. I don't know whether I can attach here in the more. Okay. There is no attachment here anyway. Gmail.com.
Just
This is
how
the
can they find you on Facebook? VJ Reddy, correct?
Yeah. Yeah. Yes. I think Vijay Bhaskar. GSK.
And see if you can put your email in the chat box so they can see it by opening chat.
Yeah, I did just now.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Anybody else want to share, criticize, make a remark, tell me to go to hell? Nothing? Michael, you're smiling. What's wrong?
I had an interesting experience in that I felt it envelop all of us around my aura, and then it condensed into the center of my body, and it went quiet. And I think I'm hallucinating, but it sounds like it can even talk.
Certainly.
I mean, I can't really make out what it, I feel really present with it, but she actually talks. I feel like I'm going a little crazy, but
That's wonderful. Everybody has a little bit of craziness. Save it. Cherish it.
okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else want to speak? Come on, come on, come on. Be brave.
Okay. I'm not sure exactly what my question is. Maybe you can help me clarify. I feel like I'm being pulled toward, in your satsangs with Shakti, I spent about 2 weeks doing nothing but chanting and meditating, and then had to deal with crap. And now I want to listen to Robert. You had a satsang recently about void and somehow its interaction with Shakti. I don't really know how to aim myself. It seems like I'm pulled towards the listening to Robert and being pulled into that emptiness. And then I'm equally pulled into chanting and your satsangs. Is that fine? Just go with however it feels?
That's wonderful because they work together. For example, I was in total emptiness for 20 years before Janet came along and wakened the Shakti in me. I had had Shakti before the emptiness with the Kundalini awakening in the 60s, but it went away in the emptiness from Buddhism and from Zen and from Robert. And then 15 years after Robert died, it reawakened in me in Janet with tremendous amounts of energy. And it suddenly burst into total life because of my love of Janet and Janet's love for me. It wouldn't have worked if I just loved her without it being reflected back, but she loved me. They go together until you're able to feel the emptiness fully too, the void. Shakti will not be that strong. It can be very strong, but it'll be unhinged. The emptiness gives it a container. So you have to develop both, and that's perfect, what you're doing then.
You say you think it worked because your love was requited from
Yes.
Janet.
Yes.
You know, maybe I told you 5 years ago when I had this feeling of love, bliss in the background of my experience, that gave way to this kind of pain of longing, of not feeling loved in some way, of kind of a one-way abstract devotion to God.
Good.
And these days I feel this about a person. You know, I've encountered my ex-girlfriend recently. It may be just a projection of whatever, but I'm feeling this strong longing, this strong pain of desiring love. I mean, like in a painful way. There's all this drama with sexual abuse
By the way,
around me.
which of your many girlfriends did you
anger.
run into?
What?
Which of your many ex-girlfriends did you run into?
You know the one.
Okay, that one. All right. That's wonderful. You don't know how good that is.
I hope so. I'm just sitting there irritated listening to the chants, being pissed off.
That pain of longing is what will awaken you.
Mm.
The pain is really necessary. It focuses you. It works on you. It cooks you.
Mm.
You have to become one-pointed, and that longing is one-pointedness. That's good. It's not going to get easier either. It gets worse. It gets stronger. The pain gets stronger. The wanting gets stronger.
Mm.
Anybody else? Angela, do you have anything to say?
No, I don't, but there is a chat question from Mohammed.
What is it?
Why, after feeling of love, there is a feeling of anger or rage or wanting to be crazy or wild?
Read that again. It sounds like one question you might ask. What's the question again? What's the question? Can you read it again?
Okay. Why, after the feeling of love, there is a feeling of anger or rage or wanting to be crazy or wild?
Wow. I don't know. The feeling of love begins to awaken all different kinds of feelings that you haven't felt or you felt in very controlled situations. This whole process, this bhakti process of loving and worshiping opens your heart. And when your heart starts opening, you get feeling all kinds of feelings, from jealousy to rage to loss to blame to anger, Angela, to blame, Angela. But it's common. Once you start opening to love, you'll get all kinds of things awakened in you. It's normal. There are other questions. I don't have my reading glasses on, so I can't read the questions in the chat box. Can somebody read them to me? Maria, can you read them?
But I don't have any question. Just let me see. Imara. I don't know her name. She's just say great. Just that. No, any question.
What?
Any question? Don't have question. You understand me?
Yes, but what are the questions in the chat box? Can you read them?
I don't think that they have any. Don't have any question. Just one person respond to Mohammed, but no, don't have any question.
Okay. All right. Why after the feeling of love? Okay, that's the only question there, that one. Anybody else? This is your last chance to stump the guru, as Robert said. To ask a question that can't be answered. To stump me.
I've got something. I hope it doesn't stump you. So when the pain is arising, what are we supposed to do?
What pain?
Like you were saying a moment ago, that as your heart opens, the pain of longing gets louder. I mean, for me, it's not just longing, but it's different flavors. Like, what's the best way to sit in it?
Okay, first of all, explain your situation. We're not talking about Walker anymore, but explain what you feel.
I go through periods of feeling, like a few months of feeling a ton of space and emptiness. Like this is all just like a colored light show. And then I kind of like come crashing back into human emotions and just feel like, yeah, like a ton of emotions, and they're very somatic. They feel like they're ripping my body apart.
Sounds normal to me. What do you want to what do you want to know?
What's the best way to be in that?
Okay.
Is it literally just enduring it?
Okay. It sounds like you have a lot of activity going on in terms of love, loss of love, and the emotions that arise when your heart begins to open and become accessible to all kinds of feelings. The best way is to sit in a chair or lay down. Relax as much as you can, because the relaxation will allow the whatever's there to intensify and become stronger. Sit in the chair. Let's say the emotion is jealousy. And you feel jealousy somewhere, maybe in your body. It has a physical location, has a tension in your belly somewhere, maybe down here, like. And you just sit in silence, watching it. And then you stop watching it. And instead you move into feeling it. And as you relax inside and feel it, it'll start moving towards your heart. And you might start getting scared of it because it's intensifying as it moves towards your heart. And you're not sure whether you can tolerate the intensity of the feeling. So the natural instinct is to protect yourself from it by pushing it away or putting up a barrier. But instead, be brave and allow the feeling to come closer and closer to your heart. Now, if it's a feeling you've been struggling with for a number of years, it's not going to come right away. It's going to be slow because it doesn't trust, the feeling itself doesn't trust that you let it into your heart. So it's afraid of you, in a sense. So you have to be gradually and very gently there with it. And then other feelings will come up and block it out for a while because everything keeps changing. But it'll come back the next day or the next day or the next day. This time very strongly, closer to your heart. And you relax and sort of invite it to come into your heart. Open yourself up to it and sort of invite it. First of all, you accept the feeling, even if it's not in your heart. And then you invite it to come into your heart by opening your heart towards it. And gradually over days or weeks or months, it'll finally come into your heart. And you can sit with it in your heart. And at first, it'll be very hard to do it, but you've become gradually more and more used to it as you've been playing with it over the last days, weeks, or months. So that when it comes inside of your heart, it'll be intense, but not nearly as intense as you thought it was a month before. And then when it comes into your heart, You just let it rest there until it finds that magic spot in your heart, which I call your heart of hearts. It's the most vulnerable place in your heart. And once it hits there, it'll go, it'll dissolve and explode in bliss. And that bliss will fill you with bliss for days and become part of your sense of presence. And that's how you work with them, one by one. You just sit or lie as calmly as you can and as relaxed as you can. Because you won't be too relaxed. If you're dealing with this a lot, your body will be very tight. So what you have to do is just relax here and feel the tightness in your body, in your neck, your shoulders, your head. All the muscles in your head can be in crunching. I should spotlight you because you were talking. You feel it crunching in your head, all the muscles in your scalp and behind your neck and your shoulders crunching. You have to learn how to relax those. And that's not easy. That's going to take you some while. Sometimes you can do it by deep breathing. And relax on the out breath. And over a period of a few weeks, you'll relax more and more. And those feelings will come up more and more. The other thing to do besides this exercise I just told you about of relaxing and letting the feelings in one at a time, if they feel all jangled together, just relax and feel the janglingness of it. Just feel the chaos of it. Feel into the chaos of it. Let the chaos overtake you. Let it grab you. Let it kill you. Be open to having it shattering you. And gradually the same thing will happen. You'll feel one day suddenly very relaxed. Your whole body will feel so delightfully relaxed. And it'll be there, centered around your heart, all around your heart, just waiting to come in. But that relaxed day may take some time to build up to by really deliberate relaxing. Breathing out in long breaths. Letting it into your heart. The other thing you can do is practicing loving someone or something. Cats are very good subjects for being loved. I have 6 of them, and they really help me. So if you have a cat, love it. Or grab somebody and just love them. Somebody in your life, a movie star, Donald Trump, whoever moves you. Sorry about that. The Donald Trump thing, I mean. Anybody else? You got that?
Thank you.
Does that compute?
It's very helpful.
There's a book you can read. It's called Focusing by Eugene Gendlin, Gendlin. Focusing. That could help a lot about how to do it.
I used to work with that book a lot a few years ago. I've kind of forgotten about it. I'll pick it back up.
Okay. Anybody else?
Hi, Ed. I have a question.
Sure.
I'm a bit confused about one thing. I was hoping you could clear up. On one hand, I hear some teachers say you want to have your desire for enlightenment be so strong as a drowning man wants air, and then I'll hear other teachers say you need to completely drop the goal of enlightenment altogether, and that desire for it itself is a barrier. So I feel I feel the desire in myself, but it also at the same time feels like a barrier.
Yeah, but the thing is, enlightenment is just an idea to you. You don't know what enlightenment is. So how can you have a desire for it?
Because
You
I
might think you know
feel
what it is, but it's not it.
right. I mean, I guess I have the feeling that I've had a taste of it in many awakenings. So I feel as if I do know what it is, or I've had glimpses, and I have this desire for that to be abiding.
No, you don't want to do that. What you want to do is feel your body as it is now. Feel your mind as they are now. Don't worry about those glimpses. Glimpses are only temporary. You want something permanent, which means it's something permanently in you already. You just have to tease it out of that background feelings that you consider to be your body or your mind or your emotions. There are many different kinds of enlightenments. There's not just one kind. There is the enlightenment of becoming the witness, which is very subtle and requires you to know emptiness and the void. There's the awakening to the manifest self that I've talked about, which is feeling Shakti, or the divine, explode in you, showing you the form of God in a way that you can perceive it, and feeling that energy in you as bliss, as light, as colors. Everything else are just temporary little things. You want one or the other of those. The one of going for emptiness first takes a long, long time. The one of becoming completely awake to Shakti is much shorter. And that's done basically through love. Now, the other thing is you can learn to feel the I am sensation inside of yourself and love that, worship that, accept that, and bring that into your heart, the I am, and just abide there as your lover, as your beloved. But almost anything else is a long, long way from a realization, because I don't know what your minute visions are and whether they have any bearing at all on a real enlightenment. Because I thought thousands of times I was close to enlightenment, and I wasn't. Enlightenment is already there within you. Any kind, both the void and Shakti. But you have to bring them into your awareness. And the best way is through love and worship, by feeling around inside of yourself, either for the I am, for Shakti, for love, or something like that. It's all within you. You can listen to my words, feel my Shakti during satsang, go to anybody else's satsang and see if you feel something there that's different. Fall in love with somebody is the easiest way, but Jesus, it has to be the right person. And only Shakti can bring that person to you, and you to that person. There'll be such a magic between you and that person. But that's a hard one to get into. It came to me out of nowhere. Now, do you have a question?
Yeah, I guess I'm curious now about your experience. When it came to you, was it did it permanently change something?
Yes. Both times. The one in 1995 where I knew true emptiness and that consciousness itself was false. It was just an illusion. It was an artifact. It had no reality by itself, and I was the witness of it. And consciousness itself did not touch me. I was beyond consciousness. I was beyond death. I was the unborn. That changed me, yes. But then dwelling 15 years in that emptiness, I had the second awakening with Janet, which is of love and of the energies of devotion surrender, an unbelievable love. And with that, came out of that is my experience of the birth of God in me, or seeing God within me as the divine form, as Shakti having a form which kept changing like fire. But Shakti in that way is always with me. Sometimes I feel it as myself, and sometimes I feel it as the other, as the divine. I'm both.
Beautiful. Amazing.
And
Yeah, I
that's the
get-
one that's easier to get than the one of emptiness. But most of the people here, because they haven't gone through the emptiness first, are getting them both at the same time, like Walker was talking about. Okay.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome very much. Anybody else? Well, I give you all my blessing. Hope Shakti sticks you in the ass. Get some life going in your body. Hope you fall in love. Hope you feel the energies. Hope you feel the bliss. Hope you feel hopeless. Hope you feel emptiness. I love you all. Remember that. I love you all. My Shakti's always circulating around you. If you think of me, I'll be there. Take care. I'll see you on Wednesday at noon. Bye-bye.